Hello, my name is lielurr. I wanted to sort of introduce myself formally to my YouTube channel. I want to focus on traditional and digital art, even though I think that's kind of the whole spectrum of art. I want to start off doing traditional art for the most part, and then working on digital art down the road. I've been working with traditional art for as long as I can remember. I feel like, most of us have since we first picked up the pencil or a crayon. We've all kind of done our own traditional art journey, whether we realize it or not. I've stopped doing traditional art for a very long time though, mostly due to attending college and moving on to doing larger scale projects that would be, first of all, very expensive to do traditionally, and just needing more efficient time, management skills to create projects for my school projects and even personal art. But I do want to get back in traditional art because it's just very relaxing, and I just miss it, honestly. It's just something that's a part of me that I feel like I've sort of been neglecting over the years, and I really want to get back into drawing and using my hands and tools and erasers and pencils and getting my hands messy again. I really do miss that analog sort of textile feeling of creating art with my hands. I also just have a lot of art supplies that I've been collecting over the years that are just sort of collecting dust, and I think it's time to break them out and start using them again. Which isn't to say that I don't like traditional art. I really do. I just haven't done it in forever. A big part of my high school sort of art career was pen and ink, traditional pen and ink with dip pens and that sort of thing, and I fell in love with sketching with pens even in high school, and that carried on into my college years. It also helps that those materials are pretty quick and easy to work with. There's not a lot of wait time in between. There's, once you get it on the paper, it's done. So it really, I've never been one to wait. I'm very impatient in terms of art and drawing and that sort of thing. I like to get my ideas down pretty quickly. Not that I'll forget them, but just, the ideation kind of works really, really fast, at least in my brain. So I like to get things down as soon as possible so I can, develop them later on without losing my progress or losing steam. Which is why I've never been, really big on mediums like painting, like oil painting or acrylic painting, or just any sort of wet medium, because there's just the drying time, there's the wait time, the drying time, which just never appealed to me. For example, this is a sketch of a character. I'm not even sure it's going to be a throwaway character or not, but I guess it's more for examples more than anything else. But this is generally how I sketch things down on paper and try to get things done as quickly as possible. I try to use a lot of color in my work. It just brings things into perspective and makes things much more legible, at least visually in my experience. So I like to use a mix of ink pens, and I have fallen in love with alcohol markers. Those are really, really helpful in designing and getting colors down very quickly, and it's a sort of happy medium between painting and sketching. It's like right in between, and it helps me get ideas down literally and figuratively. It helps me get the broad strokes down of a character design or a concept design on paper very quickly. So the universe this character would be from is a story that I am constantly, I'm always in developing a ton of stories all at the same time, but this character was from a story based around anthropomorphic food characters, so fruits and vegetables, those sort of things, and its overall message is about heroism for like Marvel and DC, like Batman, Superman, that sort of thing, where it's about a main character, not this character specifically, but the main character's belief that they want to be a hero. But then there's also them just being a regular person, the trials and tribulations of what comes into play with that, like what it takes to be a hero, what it actually means to be a hero, and that sort of thing. But I think it's more interesting as a concept because the story is meant to be more dramatic and realistic, but then you have the juxtaposition of these sort of cartoony, silly fruit and vegetable, onions and peas and carrots and stuff running around for trying to save their lives, and there's all these horrible things or action sort of packed things happening, and it's just you realize okay, I'm actually looking at just you know, some fruit and veggies running around, but the stories are supposed to be much deeper and more dramatic and realistic. I think that's a fun way to sort of twist the genre on its head in a way. It's something that you can recognize, but then you kind of have to think twice or look back twice and say, you know, is this serious? Is it not serious? Should I be laughing now? Should I be crying now? That sort of thing. I think it's a fun way to change the genre of traditional sort of superhero, or not so much superhero, but, you know, hero stories and the hero's journey. Generally, I have ideas and they just appear in my head. I have no problem with sort of imagining things in my head and, you know, thinking out just kind of whole concepts within my head. So if I want to get things on paper, this is generally how I would do it. If something's not coming out right, or I want to have it sort of for archival reasons, or just to look back at it later or keep it on hand instead of having to pause and think and rethink, you know, the original idea in my head over and over again, I have it, you know, just quickly on paper in a sketchbook or whatever. And I'm even just using this is actually just like a piece of the back of a flyer that I had. I saved a bunch of these flyers for some reason, I don't remember. I think I drew on one and it just felt really nice with the mediums I had, and I just kept a bunch of the free copies of the flyer, and they're just really easy to work with and they take pigment very well, and that's what I've been using to draw on this. So nothing fancy, but I just want to get something quickly down on paper, so I just grabbed some paper and I just grabbed my sort of trusty sort of kit of alcohol markers. I don't have like a super extensive collection necessarily. I have like 2 or 3 kits that are just their own sets of colors, and I have some specialty colors, like a specific set of like blues and a specific set of like warmer skin tones and that sort of thing, but for the most part it's pretty generic overall, all the tools that I use. It took a while for this sketch to grow on me, but now that I've seen it in person off camera, it's really fun. I like that I was able to create this sort of character on the fly, because I was not really planning a full video for this. This is supposed to just be like a test video, but I like how it came out, so I'm just gonna keep it as is. As you can see, I edited it and added all the annotations and stuff anyway, so I'm gonna keep it. I will do digital sketches later on, but primarily I want to focus on traditional art, so you'll see sort of a mix of that. I'll probably lean heavier onto the traditional side for the beginning of the channel. Maybe it'll break down to like 50-50 later on, I don't know. I want to get back into speed paint, like digital speed paints and that sort of thing, but I think it's fun to see traditional art come together, because it is one of those things where, you know, with digital art, it kind of, for some people, can be sort of a mystery, as if, you know, if you don't know the techniques, you don't know this. It's kind of a really big learning curve, but I think with traditional art, once you see enough, or you can get kind of practice enough with traditional techniques, it is a lot easier to grasp as a beginner or a hobbyist or whatever, and it's a little more inviting in terms of, you know, maybe I can do this. I've been wanting to make this channel for a little while now, actually. I've had a lot of just, I don't know if you want to call them hiccups or hurdles or just literal demons just in my way, just stopping me every twist and turn and, you know, attempt to make this channel. But it's been an uphill battle, I think, just to get this back on track into where I like the lighting and the setup and getting all my tools together. Even my initial recording, which my friends and family will know, sounded much worse than this. Even now I'm still tweaking things and tweaking the microphone. I'm very new to audio and editing, stuff like this. So anything outside of drawing, I kind of know nothing about. So all of this I'm kind of learning on the fly, and I'm trying my very best to create as visually interesting, you know, if not audibly, but at least visually as interesting as possible, an experience for everyone. As for channel goals, I'm still up in the air as to what I want to do. I do have this sort of ever-growing list of YouTube ideas, like one-offs and ongoing ideas, like series sort of things that I could do. So those are ever-growing, ever-changing. Every day I'll think of something, or I'll see something and I'll say, you know what, that would be kind of cool. Like, you know, I don't really know if I'm going to make niche material, because I think the internet is such a wide and varied place that there's going to be someone who likes the same thing that you do. But I do feel like there are just some things that I only seem to know, or I only seem to appreciate, but maybe I don't, and maybe I'll make something and it'll connect with other people. I'd always love to hear if you see something, or if there's like a media I reference, or a movie or a book or something, or a video game that I just bring up casually during one of my recordings, and you can say, hey, I know that, or I grew up with that too. That would be really cool. So if anything, sparks your interest or catches your ear, I guess, I don't know the better term for that when I'm talking or making these sort of videos, let me know. I'd love to talk about them too. I'd also love to know about any sort of internet art challenges or art collabs or anything like that, because I really don't keep up with those things. I'd love to, I just never really had the time for it. But if there's an idea that you heard of, or a style challenge, or like a monthly challenge, or sort of thing like that, do let me know, and I'd love to see if I can participate in them, because I do want to prioritize this channel above other things. I do want to make this channel a success. I don't know if it's not so much for the monetary gain so much initially, we'll see down the line, but I do want to make this a sort of fun vlog that I can kind of come back to and look at and see, as some sort of way to track my progress as an artist, as a visual artist, as a content creator, those sort of things. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into one sort of thing, but I do want to try doing YouTube videos and creating, and because I do feel like there are certain aspects of the art community that I have certain opinions about, or I feel like aren't talked about enough, or things like that. Maybe they are, I just haven't seen the videos. It's very possible, but I think for me it would help, and I think there's other people I like to connect to who might have the same ideas. I think it'd be really fun, and that's another motivation for making this channel as well. I'm no expert, of course, when it comes to deciding on what makes good content or what makes anything enjoyable. So again, if I ever make anything and you guys have anything to say about it that you think would be better off a certain way, or it'd be cooler if you did this, or adjusted your lighting, or adjusted this, do let me know. I'm always open to those sort of comments. I don't think I sketch enough, at least traditionally. Not so much phobias, but those ideas that kind of just sit in the back of your brain as an artist, just like, am I doing this enough? Am I doing that enough? That sort of thing. And sketching is definitely something that I feel like I lack. It's always something with seeing people do like sketchbook tours and doing, my daily vlog, and I'm just like, I could never do that. Because I don't have enough. I think I have like 8 sketchbooks, or 9, maybe 10 sketchbooks, I think. And I think a lot of them have, if not half of them, have like 4 pages out of like the 100 have actually anything on them, whether it's good or not. And maybe half of that is even just, half of that of the half is probably just like notes, or like writing down phone numbers or something. Like, I feel weird not having a whole sketchbook done now as an artist. So I'd like to do this. I think this would help me overcome that sort of lingering fear that I'm not doing this enough. So I have the motivation and the drive to sketch more, and it's not just for making content, it's for me as well to grow as an artist. The funniest thing about that is that I am one, if you know me in person, I adore concept art. I love conceptual sketching, pages, musings, all sort of things like that. I love, and it doesn't really matter what it is. It could be about things that I'm not really interested in at all, like mechanics and, technical illustration or things like that. Does anything that there's a concept for, where I can see turnarounds and, the way that the artist goes from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to the final design. I love that. I really do. And then on the flip side, I don't really do that a lot with my own work, so it's very strange, but I do, want to overcome that with this channel, so fingers crossed that that actually becomes a reality. As I go on and talk about the video and talk about my process, I am always curious to know how you guys feel about artists when they do speed paints or speed draws or draw with me's or anything like that. Do you enjoy when the artist talks over the drawing for the entire period and sort of gives you like almost no breaks, or do you like when, like, I guess like story times sort of things, or do you like when the artist sort of is hands off I guess, well, not hands off, but doesn't speak pretty much at all. Like maybe they do an introduction, and then they have just a whole 99% of the video runtime is just a drawing with like comforting music in the background, or related music in the background, and then they come back at the end for an outro. Or do you like it sort of half and half? Let me know, because I really don't know what really appeals to people. I'm fine with doing any of those. I know personally I would prefer, if an artist talks at all, I would rather them talk about, I'd like to hear them talk about what they're actually drawing. Like, if you're drawing, a topiary or a landscape or something, it doesn't have to be specifically super technical information, like, this color, and when you blend this color together and at this certain angle, and when it hits the light this way, and this sort of brush, and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to get that technical and that deep into it. But I mean, if you're talking about something related to the drawing or the process, I find that much more interesting than, they're drawing a landscape and they're like, I went to the store the other day and it was 50% off this and blah, blah, blah. And then I got stuck in traffic and my coffee spilled. Like, that isn't really as interesting to me. It's not boring, but it's not as interesting as me figuring out, and connecting what you're saying to what you're drawing. It feels a little disjointed sometimes. So I don't know if that's just me, or again, if it's just something that I just haven't experienced with other people, or people don't talk about enough. But yeah, for me, I kind of lose interest, and I will probably mute the video after a certain point, or if not, just speed it up, because I just really want to get back to finding out more about what's going on the screen. Also, I think I just don't have enough going on in my own life to distract the viewer, I guess, with a story time. There's not enough that happens to me that I think would be at all interesting to talk about. Some rare occasions where just random nonsense will happen to me. I may have blocked out some of the memories because they're so annoying and so ridiculous, but the ones I can remember, I would probably make into shorts. If you're interested in hearing about some of those stories, then yeah, let me know. I want to get into doing shorts as well. The most interesting things about me, I think I could list on one hand, if even that many. I have a German Shepherd, for one. His name is Scooter. He only has 3 legs. He was like that when we got him. He was a rescue. We still don't know what happened to his legs and why he only has 3 legs. The shelter doesn't know. That's how we got him. That's how we found him. And that's how we took him home. I feel like we've had him for a good while now, but I think it's only been 2 years since we've had him. A little over 2 years. I'll have to double check though. For me specifically, there's not much to tell, honestly. I am a professional artist, and I work from home, and by professional I mean that I do get paid to draw stuff for people. When I'm lucky, it happens. It's not super often, but when it does, it's really nice. I've been able to do a good amount of cool projects, some better than others, for a lot of indie creators, and a lot of it I kind of just can't really divulge because of like NDAs and stuff like that. One of my biggest passions is definitely graphic novels, or if you want to say comic books, whichever. I don't know if there's a huge difference between them, but graphic novels in the sense that they tell sort of an overarching sort of story, that sort of thing. I do love to create stories. I like to write my own stories, I like to illustrate them. It's really cool, and I feel really fortunate to be able to have worked with these people and create these really cool projects. I actually took storyboarding as a class in college, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. There were highs and definitely lows in that class. I could definitely make a couple videos about that, at least a couple shorts about that class. And in that, I learned a lot about storyboarding. I learned that it's not just as simple as, camera 1, camera 2, shoot this here, put the character here, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot more nuanced than I think most people think off the bat. Each frame, each panel, each setup, each camera angle, the way that they're composed, the lighting, the panning, the zooming, the way that the camera moves, all of that can very easily and greatly affect the way that your final shot comes out. And I thought that was very interesting. I didn't know it was so technical, but it's helped me so much in my work. I did cry tears. Physical tears came from my body. Me and a friend of mine, we did cry over this class. So if you want to know about that, I can definitely make maybe at least a short or 2 about it and explain some of that, but not right now. So I guess I can just run down a couple of quick facts about myself, I guess. My name is Lielurr, so it's a play off of my actual name. It's the name that I use on most of my social media accounts. I only have a couple anyway, so it's not too many to go through, but if you're looking for me, look for Lielurr, and that's usually where my work is. Other than that, I use the name 3am comic, which is a direct reference to my comic of the same name called 3am. It's a horror, suspense, thriller sort of comic that I'm doing myself. It's, story and art by me. It's inspired by the Eminem song of the same name. If you've heard it, then you can kind of get the vibe of what I'm going for. If you're interested, you can read the first chapter on my website. It's just 3amcomic.com, and the first chapter is up. It's 60 full pages, and I think it's been up for, I want to say 7-8 years now. And it's just taking a very long time because it is a passion project, so I'm doing literally everything. It's just a one-person team. It's just me, so I'm doing the social media, the sketching, the drawing, the conceptualization for the sketching and the drawing. Literally everything, writing it, the website design, just every little bit is just done by me. So it's definitely, like, in purest form, a passion project, in that it's just me doing every little bit that I can. And that's pretty much it for right now. If you have any suggestions for this video about the process, or what I did, my setup, my lighting, that sort of thing, let me know. And if there's any sort of media that you think I might enjoy outside of just drawing, like, manga or comic books or anime or TV shows, movies, Netflix, anything that you think that I might be interested in, feel free to let me know in the comments here or on my social media handles. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you're having a great day, a great night, and wherever you are, you have a great day. Continue to have a great night, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks so much.